All right. Hey, everybody. It is Adrian, and we are launching the Contact Mapping Book Club. And what we want to do is introduce you to people who are really doing cool stuff when it comes to networking, when it comes to building a home-based business, and just share some of the top ideas. And we're really lucky. We're actually at a conference down here in Orlando. We're at Ray Higdon's Rank Makers Live. And Jeff Altgibers just came out with an incredible new book back in July. And we were talking about it, and I thought, well, rather than me tell you, why don't we get to hear it straight from the man himself? So tell us about Reaching the Peak.
Well, so thank you, Adrian.
Yeah.
And so Reaching the Peak is about, my journey, your journey in network marketing. We all want to get to the peak. The problem with most people is that they're at the base of the mountain, just going around the mountain in circles. And they've been in their companies for years and years, and they're just not having success. So the book is about that journey and how to get where we have a strategy of actually not going around the mountain, but going up the mountain, that is reaching the peak. So in that, or do you have another question?
No, go ahead. Yeah, keep going.
So in that, so the book will take you back to 40 years ago when I joined what was called multi-level marketing. Later, when we had the internet, it changed to being called network marketing, to now, because of the social media revolution, we call it social networking, where we're at today. And so I discovered that in 40 years, about every decade, there's a shift to methods and technologies that we never had before. And so, and what I mean by that is in the way that we present at our meetings, in the way that we deliver content to people, in the way that we train and educate distributors, in the way that we prospect. In all of those ways, there's a shift. And so what happens is when people don't make that shift and they continue with the old ways, and these ways made them a lot of money, some of them a lot of money, lightning doesn't strike there again anymore. They're not getting the results they got before. Now they're frustrated. Now they're angry. Now they got the wrong conclusions. Anything that's new that people shift to, they'll tell their leaders, don't do that because the way I did it before is the way you make money. And so they don't understand it. So the book goes through that as well, is how to understand these shifts better. The other thing too is the...
Actually, let me stop you.
Go
there.
ahead.
Yeah, let's ask a few questions about that, and then
Yeah.
we're going to go on to that other big idea we were talking about before. So, 40 years, that's awesome. I mean, very, very few people have been in the profession continuously for that long. That's you have really shown that success in, let's say 10 years ago or 5 years ago when you recognized the last big shift. You have made a lot of money in this profession. You've had a lot of success. And I would imagine on some ways it's like, do I have to go and learn another new trick? And so
Right.
Talk about, how do you recognize when that shift is starting to occur, and how do you personally figure out how to adopt it?
Well, you can always tell by the way people respond to the way that you try to get them to look at your opportunity. Mm-hmm. If it's not like it was before, again, we're not getting the results we got before. On the other hand, you see other companies that are doing well.
Yeah.
Their leaders are doing well.
Yeah.
It's always good to ask the question, why?
Yeah.
And then, in my case, then I'll seek out people that are maybe our trainers,
Yeah.
like Ray Higdon.
Yeah.
And I did a VIP day with him. I flew down to Florida here. I want to spend a day with him.
Yeah.
I knew that I was more of a traditional networker.
Yeah.
So face-to-face meetings and all that, and I still do all that.
Right.
I still do all that.
Yep.
But at the same time, in the United States, for example, your younger generation,
Yeah.
there's been a big shift. And so they're not as responsive to those old methods.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're not interested, they are.
Yeah.
So they just don't like the way we do it. so that I sought Ray out and said, okay, I want to see it through your eyes. My eyes are 63 years old.
Yeah.
Your eyes are much younger.
Yeah.
So I want you to explain it to me more about the shift, and then what do we have to do? I mean, just anybody can do basic things on a daily basis to create exposure out there to draw people to you, and just to enroll them and then move them along after you've onboarded them, their training and all that. What do we do?
Yeah.
So and those are the questions we will be asking, forever.
Yeah.
Because this profession is always evolving. I could see in the future a hologram of me in somebody's room or multiple locations where I'll be appearing and I'll be doing presentations and I'm not there.
Yeah, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see that
future's coming.
Yeah. There will come a day.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is when those methods and those technologies become available, we don't want to see it as an enemy or as that's threatening to my business, like the way many people feel about social media.
Right.
But we want to see it as this is going to help me. This is going to make my business easier.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so talk a little bit about some of that, what we were talking about in terms of helping people to push through some difficult times and how you get into that and how that pertains to the overall message of the book.
Well, we all go through difficult times. That's the thing. And my book talks about that because, our circumstances, we are not our circumstances. Our circumstances are just what's happening to us, but it's not who we are.
Yeah. And the story we tell ourselves about those circumstances.
Yeah, the stories we tell ourselves, the red light stories. So I started, a few decades ago, I started totally broke. I had to sell a junk truck. That was 26 years ago. Sell a junk truck to get started in network marketing. I've been doing it 40 years, but I was ready to really do it and totally commit to it then, but I didn't have the money. But I didn't see myself as my circumstances. And so in the book, I'll talk about that, but I'll also talk about how to get creative when you don't have the perfect situation.
Yeah.
What do you do? And so I'll talk even about when I heard the company was opening up in Taiwan, and I didn't speak Mandarin Chinese, can't read Mandarin Chinese, and then I flew into that country, and before long I was opening up my own office. I was running ads in a Chinese newspaper, network marketing newspaper,
wow.
Magazine and all that, and I was hopping planes, trains, and taxi cabs, seeing people. So I'll talk about that in the book, how we have to get creative with our circumstances. And then just things that happen to us in life, I'll talk about that. Some really, just bad moments, very depressing moments, and then, how to get yourself out of it, when you do. I'll also talk about my 90-day plan, because when I started a little over 20 years ago in my last company, it was bad because I couldn't bring people over from my previous company because they were all burned out and just didn't want to do it.
Yep.
And so I had to start all over again.
Wow.
All over again. And I'll be honest with you, I really hated network marketing up until that point. I just hated it. But what happened was I still believed in the profession. I really did. And so what I did was I hit it hard, and I hit it hard for 90 days. And I had a team after 90 days. I had 800 people in my business.
Wow.
In 90. That was 20 years ago. And I did that actually without leaving my driveway.
Wow.
Without doing one single meeting. Because back then we did conference calling.
Yeah.
And we had 800 hotlines. You could listen to the product, 800 hotline. And it was pretty awesome. But and so I look at that today. Principles never change, just the tools. Principles never change, just the methods.
Yeah.
And so then what are the methods? That's always the question.
Right.
And then you just follow the principle. And but back then, that's what I did. And I hit it hard for 90 days. That's in my book, The 90-Day Plan, how to get a humongous team together.
Cool. And so, somebody who's watching this who maybe is going through that difficult circumstance, maybe is, at that point where they're going, man, maybe I need to quit. What's the number one thing you would say to that person in terms of how to move forward powerfully, not give up, and actually get to the result that they're going for?
Well, here's the thing. It's not that maybe I should quit. I can remember when I thought maybe I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah.
I've thought that many times. Maybe maybe I don't have the personality. And the fact is, when you go to conventions like here at Rank Makers, the Higdon Group, it's amazing because there's so many different companies here.
Yeah.
And you look at all these top earners. We're talking about 7-figure earners. Some are black, some are white, some are Asian, some are Spanish, some are tall, some are short, some are fat, some are skinny, some are good looking, some
Not so much.
not so good looking. Okay, so then
Men and women,
what is it
everything.
then? Yeah, men and women. What is it then? See, it's got one thing. They never quit, and they stayed teachable. They stayed in a state of curiosity.
Yeah.
A state of curiosity. How do you do it? I know the way we did it didn't work, or we were in a company that didn't work out, whatever. Okay, fine. And that's what I did. When I looked at all the past failures of being in the wrong companies,
Yep.
I didn't blame network marketing. I just looked in the mirror and I said, stupid. I said, you should have did your homework. You should have known about these principles, these owners, these corporate people, their history, or your product, or your compensation plan, or your support. You know, the team that you're joining. Do they have a system? Do they really support you? I mean, those are all questions we ask before we make the leap, you know. So I learned how to ask better questions. And so I again, when I say you look at all these people that are successful, they simply persisted in very difficult circumstances in their life, and they just simply resolved not to quit, but to find, and it's not enough just to work hard. I mean, you can work hard, and working hard doesn't work.
Yep.
It doesn't work. If it's, the old saying, that practice makes perfect, well, that's not correct. It's perfect practice makes perfect. Because if we practice what is not perfect or what's not right, we're always going to get the same results. So that's the thing. We've just got to stay open, and it amazes me even in my own team. I've got some 7-figure earners, man. They are not open.
Yeah.
They are not teachable. And that's the one thing Ray says about me, is that I'm very, very teachable.
You got to keep turning those dials, and you got to persist, but you got to adjust.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So that's the thing, and because I'm always, when I wake up every day, it's like, okay, is there anything new I have to learn?
Yeah.
Something that I have to teach the team that they need to know about. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, the way everything changes,
Yep.
and again, it almost sounds difficult, but it's
Yeah.
not difficult.
So last question, Jeff, when you imagine in your mind's eye, like, who is the person that most needs to hear this book or read this book, who is the person that this book is particularly meant to touch, and what would you say to that person?
Well, that book sort of hits all ages. It really does. It hits the person that is just getting started.
Yeah, good.
It's really great for them because it teaches them what to avoid
Yeah.
and what not to do. But for those people that have been involved for years and have struggled,
Yeah.
they're going to read about my struggles.
Yeah.
And then again, as far as sharpening your skills and things like that, I get to that in the book as well, about how, what I did, what made the difference, and I did things that most people wouldn't do.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like going overseas. But here's the other thing I point out in the book.
Yep.
Even though I went overseas and I spent 5.5 years overseas
Yeah.
in Asian countries, most people say, well, I don't want to do that. I have a family, or I have children, or I'm old, or whatever their circumstances are.
Right.
You know what? The people in my organization that had those circumstances used me.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
used me.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. When you have a good upline and you work together,
Yeah.
like Tom Chenault, how can you have a better upline? So when you have someone like that, and then you're going into, you go to a new country, he goes over there, and then you say, hey, I got somebody over there. And that's what a lot of my leaders did. I had one lady in Canada. She's a double-digit 6-figure earner, and she lives on a farm in Ontario. She's never went to these countries.
Yeah.
She gets paid out of Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and South Korea.
Yeah.
And Africa.
Yeah.
5 countries.
Wow.
And she's never went to any of those countries. And she's killing it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What a great story. And that's right. I mean, people from all those places are in our communities. you
Yes.
you can find those people, and they have a passion for connecting back home, and it's
Absolutely.
so cool the way that works.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I'm not sure about longevity, how many countries you're in, but
Yeah, a bunch. A
Oh,
bunch
are
as
you in
well.
a bunch?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
but
there you
that's-
go.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So Jeff, where do you want people to find this book?
you can get the book on Amazon.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, Reach the Peak.
Amazon.com. You may have heard of this website.
Yes.
So it's called Reaching the Peak. It's by Jeff Altgibers, and you really want to check this out. Jeff is a great guy. I've heard a lot of his story over a couple of different events that we've been a part of together. And this is a guy who's really done it. He's somebody who has learned over and over again how to reinvent himself inside of this profession. I see how much time and energy he's investing into learning from the best, and not only learning from the best for himself, but sharing it with others. And this is really the fruit of that journey over the last 40 years. So
Yeah.
definitely check it out. And Jeff, thanks so much, man.
Thanks,
Really
Adrian.
appreciate it.
I appreciate
All right,
it, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cool.